What is going on, investors? I just got in from the clinic, so this video might be a bit rushed, but essentially, Tattooed Chef, I want to explain what is going on in the stock right now, because we have seen some incredible moves over the last 3 to 4 days. As you can see, today we're up 6.37%. If you go over 5 days, we are up over 23.52% over the last 5 days. And of course, this precedes our Q2 earnings where we saw that drop. Okay, so Q2 came out, it missed analyst expectations, even though the company did really well in terms of the branded sales was up over 60%. We still missed analyst estimates. The company missed my own expectations for earnings. So we saw a massive drop of 25%, but we have essentially filled that gap and we are up 26% since the 19th of August. Okay, now before I get into why I believe this is happening, I want us to take just a moment of silence, okay, for all of the fallen Tattooed Chef shareholders who bought high and sold low. Okay, so we'll give them about 10 seconds, okay, for those that sold at losses at $17, for those who sold at losses at $16.45, for the paper hands that sold at $16, for those that got frustrated with the stock and sold again on Thursday, $16, our heart goes out to you guys. All right. With that said, with that said, I hope this can be a lesson for everyone who watches my channel to simply remember what Peter Lynch says. Peter Lynch says the trick is not to learn to trust your gut feelings, but rather to discipline yourself to ignore them. Stand by your stocks as long as the fundamental story of the company hasn't changed, okay? And I want you to bear this in mind even when I explain to you why I think this massive run is currently occurring. Peter Lynch says, stand by your stocks as long as the fundamentals, and I would also add the financials. If these two major components of the companies you've invested in hasn't changed, then stand by your stocks, regardless of what, bears will say, regardless of what previous shareholders of Tattooed Chef stock who sold out at losses and are now angry at the stock and probably angry at you for still holding. Regardless of all of that, you've got to be able to train yourself to ignore the bull crap, right? And I actually want to shout out Rob from Popular Investor. He uploaded a video today talking about Regeneron, the lessons that he learnt, okay? And he gave that advice. He said back in the day when he first started investing, he was able to seek advice from people around him who are seasoned investors, because his portfolio was being very volatile. He sought advice because people were being negative towards him about the volatility in his portfolio, and he got some life-changing, portfolio-changing advice, which was simply just to ignore the BS. And I even had to comment on that video and say quality advice at the beginning of the video, Rob. And I think he replied here. Rob said, cheers, Emmanuel. So yeah, Rob, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, check Rob out. He's an incredible investor. I have a lot of respect for him. And yeah, that's what it is. Stand by your stocks. Now, why is Tattooed Chef seeing this massive surge? Okay, if you've been subscribed to my channel for a number of months now, then you would know that I am not quick to say short squeeze. I'm not one to come on and say, oh, we're seeing a short squeeze here, short squeeze there, without much information to back up those claims. However, some recent news came out on the fly, okay? This is regarding today, and they pretty much give you a summary of the largest borrow rate increases amongst liquid names, okay? And as you can see here, they've listed a number of companies. Some ones that I can see, AT&F, that used to be a big popular retail one. You've got Skills, but look at Tattooed Chef, okay? Tattooed Chef, the increase rate was 93.84%. That is huge. That is huge. Considering Skills, we saw the largest borrow rate at 2.39%. Blink Charging was 16.54%. Goodyear Tires, that's pretty much nothing. But look at us. Tattooed Chef, 93.84%. in terms of borrow rate. Now, in case you're not familiar with what it means to have a large borrow rate increase, what does that all mean? This person summed it up 2 years ago. This was the best reply. Someone asked the same question. What does it mean when I see a stock with the largest borrow rate increase? Okay, so let's quickly go through the answer together. It pretty much sums it up. An increase in the borrow rate would mean that more people than average are borrowing it. or a few people are borrowing large amounts. Either way, it reflects a changed expectation in what the stock will do. Okay. Now, if you take a look at what the stock has been doing with Tattooed Chef post Q2 earnings, it's just been going down. Okay. It drops like a knife. All right. But it says, if I borrowed a large amount of a particular stock, the purpose most likely would be to short it or to cover an existing short or options play. So essentially, to cover your shorts. Okay, so if you're not familiar with what a short is when you bet against the company. You essentially bet that the company's stock is going to go down and you make money when it goes down. However, if the stock goes up, like we've seen with Tattooed Chef, then shorts have to cover their position. All right, and that pretty much means they close out their position and usually at losses. Okay, so when you see a large amount of covering, that's when you see an increase in the borrowed amount. Okay, you often see large increases in borrowed numbers preceding a short squeeze as people rush to cover their short positions and leave others holding the bag as the stock is temporarily pumped up. Okay, it's also a good indicator of when to stay away from a stock if you don't know the ins and outs of a situation. If anything, a change in borrowing is a signal of the change in the stock, and if you don't know what it's doing before the change, you won't know after. Okay, fantastic advice there. I don't know if this person's okay, so this person is not a financial analyst. Okay, but I thought this was one of the best replies that I saw online. The person pretty much rounds up the answer by pretty much saying, understand the fundamentals of business, don't chase in, but etc. But this is the important part. The purpose most likely would be to short it or to cover an existing short position. Okay, and that would lead to a short squeeze. Okay, so now we know what an increase in the borrow rate means. 93.84% today on Tattooed Chef. That's insane. Okay, so let's look at the charts. So as you can see, we have pretty much smashed through resistance at 1731. We smashed through resistance at 1879. We also smashed through resistance at 1984. And then we broke resistance towards market close of $20. And then we've pretty much filled that gap from when we dropped. Now, what am I going to do in this position? Considering that this is an obvious short squeeze, for me personally, I'm not selling just yet. Okay, I'm not selling. I'm long term in Tattooed Chef. I've been in this stock for over a year now. I've been invested in Tattooed Chef from when it was a SPAC, FMCI. Good days. But I mean, I'm back in the green. Okay, because I've been averaging down for almost a year now. So my average is like $19.17. So I'm up quite significantly. I have a huge position. However, if this short squeeze gets out of hand, and when I mean out of hand, I'm talking if we, break the resistance at $24.25, knowing that this is a short squeeze and this is not organic growth, then I might have to trim. All right, I might have to trim. As much as it pains me to say this, this is investor optimism. I mean, we've experienced pessimism, when we tanked like almost 20%, when we tanked 20% post Q2. But, Benjamin Graham says the intelligent investor is one who buys from pessimists and sells to optimists. And if we do see a short squeeze past 24.25, I'm going to have to start trimming. As much as it hurts me to say it, I love Tattooed Chef, but if optimists are coming in and, if people short the stock are, having to cover their position, that's clear that this current appreciation in the stock price is not organic. But of course, we would much prefer organic growth. Okay, so that's my initial thoughts on this current run with Tattooed Chef. Massive lessons to be learned. Massive lessons to be learned from everyone who's invested or who sold out. There's massive lessons to be had. So yeah, I'm going to leave you with what Peter Lynch says, stand by your stocks as long as the fundamentals and financials haven't changed. And yeah, I mean, this is interesting. And again, if you did sell at a loss, my heart goes out to you guys. All right, take care. Peace.